I mean, I was inspired by Greg Araki and Bruce LaBruce and John Waters. These are the filmmakers that got me excited to make movies. And those filmmakers, if they started today, they'd be canceled probably, or wouldn't even be supported at all. And I'm trying to bring that back a little bit with Cutaways. That was part of the inspiration too, is I want to kind of reignite that section of queer cinema that's a little bit dangerous, a little bit edgy, and you're not sure what you're going to get yourself into, and make the audience feel uncomfortable in an interesting way, in a good way, not in an oppressing way.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another Left of Str8 show interview. We're welcoming back into the studio one of my favorite independent filmmakers. He's a storyteller who never shies away from exploring the messy, complicated corners of emotion and clarity, and a little ambition thrown in there. Mark Schwab is a writer, director, and producer whose films live in that compelling space between art house, darling, and emotional intimacy. He's back with a fantastic new project called Cutaways, an independent film about a once successful indie filmmaker whose career implodes after a scandal, leaving him to rebuild his life, directing a seedy film for a producer with questionable motives. It's a film about power, reputation, reinvention, and what happens when the industry that once embraced you suddenly turns its back. Mark, welcome back to the Left of Str8 show, my friend. How are you today?
I am doing great. I love coming back to Left of Str8. I'm very left of straight.
Thank you so much for sharing this film with me. You know, I love your work. You were an amazing writer and director. And I'm so excited to see a new project. I think you've snuck maybe one in between since we last talked about Exteriors, but welcome back to the show. This is a lot of fun.
I don't think I have. No, this is my follow-up to Exteriors. I would never sneak anything past you, Scott. You know that.
Okay, maybe I'm just reading
Ever.
IMDb wrong. I thought I saw someone snuck in between. They just didn't record it right.
Never. Never.
How's everything in the great white north way of California there?
Well, we're doing great compared to most of the other parts of the country. I mean, under snow and ice. I mean, people have, millions are without power. So no, I have no complaints here. It's lovely.
It's crazy. I survived Snowmageddon last weekend, and now it's going to be -9 and -10 degrees the next 2 days. So I am over, hence the scarf. I am just getting myself ready for it, even though I'm inside the house.
Good. Stay warm.
Well, my friend, I'm so excited for this new movie, Cutaways. I mean, last when we talked about Exteriors, it was all about, to me, the mood and the lighting and the locations. Just gorgeously shot, great story. This time, I think it's all about the acting, my friend. I mean, you have some great actors you bring back to your work every project, but this was just a tour de force, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely, I knew I needed a very specific cast to be able to pull this material off. And everyone certainly has done that, including being able to work with, literally a dream come true with James Duval. So that was particularly satisfying.
Amazing. Like I said, I mean, Silas portrays this so well. I mean, it's such a departure from how I'm used to seeing him in things. So he did an amazing job as Evan. Fernando, I don't know why I've seen the face, but the acting surprised the hell out of me. I don't know why. I just thought he was a pretty boy, but wow, did he have some acting chops. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, he's very different here than he was in Exteriors and Brotherly Lies, and that was what excited him about the part. It was his idea with the blue hair, and I loved it right away, and that's what Fernando, can bring. All the actors can bring so much more than what I've got on the page, and I loved how Fernando really got out of the past two roles playing something completely different. But I think everybody plays something very different in this than
Oh,
what
I
we've
think
seen
so too. I
before,
mean, it was just
including Jason Caceres.
exactly. Well, Jason, I'll get to Jason, my buddy. I mean, you used him so well in that film, and he's just becoming better and better with every project he does. But even Diago, I mean, he kind of brought me. It was very funny because as I was doing my research, as you know, I like to do, it pulled me totally into Sundance because Greg Araki has his first feature there forever in Sundance as this
Yep.
comes out, and this has major plot points throughout this movie I won't give away now.
Mhm.
Also, Diago's in Josephine. It's getting huge buzz in Sundance, which as a critic and as an entertainment reporter, I just talked about on my podcast last week. It's getting ready to be gobbled up for distribution. So it was
Excellent.
fun to kind of see him associated with this and all the memories it brought me of Sundance. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I remember him mentioning that, and he was excited about it. And it looks like, and he's a very good writer director himself of some really fun short films. People should definitely seek him out online. He's got a great YouTube channel and some real fun stuff. Yeah, it's very talented.
Everyone's like double or triple dip there. I mean, everyone knows how to write, direct, produce, do something. It's a pretty versatile cast. As you said, James Duvall. I didn't realize. I mean, I've seen James in so many great things. He's such a good actor, right? I did not realize we grew up together. He grew up in West Covina as I did.
Oh,
Went to a
yeah.
couple West Covina schools. I was reading his bio. It's like we went to some of the same places, I bet. So yeah, but amazing job by him, just really bringing himself into that character. And then Jason Caceres, my buddy, um, like I said, I just can't believe how good he's getting. He's doing all these damn verticals, and I think that's just some great training for him because they're a dime a dozen. But I mean, his acting chops have just really started to deliver as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's what I wanted to do with him here. I mean, that was the only part that I kind of put out a casting notice for, was for that part. And when he popped in, I was so surprised, excited, because I had met Jason a couple of times in passing, and he knew who I was and my work. And
Right.
when he applied for that part, I immediately went, "Wow, Jason, this is great." I mean, yeah, and he said, "Well, I wanted to work with you for a while now, and let's do something." And of course, I mean, I knew Jason's work. He didn't really need to audition for me, and I was excited to see him do something much different than what he's done recently. And I think he nails it. Obviously, he's a very talented actor and very prepared, and did a great job. I loved working with him, and he's charming. Of course, he is actually charming.
Yeah, he's such a charming guy. I'm so
Yeah.
happy to be friends with him. But let's talk about the conception of Cutaways, though. There's so many great ways to approach it as a filmmaker. What kind of sparked the idea? Was it the character, an idea, a theme? What kind of got you interested in creating the story?
Well, I'd say it's a couple of things. One, the idea of, I mean, anytime you're an independent filmmaker, especially, you're always hanging by a thread. I mean, you're
Right.
always wondering, is this the last thing I'm ever going to make or what have you? It's very volatile. And so I guess I think a lot of creators who create independently think, well, what happens if it all goes wrong? What happens if I'm really, really stuck? And for me, I know that I'll always keep making films no matter what I have to do, even if it's a phone in my bedroom or something with, two friends. I mean, I'll never stop. But what Evan is, that character, and Silas knew this because I wrote the part specifically for him. I never considered anyone else for that. I told Silas, I said, Evan Quick is me in if everything went wrong and if it's kind of the bizarro universe of me. It's really is, or the mirror universe in Star Trek. Is it me? No. I'm not Evan Quick. But if again, the worst version of myself in some metaverse, it would be this. And Silas had it down perfectly. So that was one thing. I guess the other inspiration for it is, for me, I've become very I think queer cinema is getting very, very sanitized and overly sanitized. As in, I see the same thing over and over again, and I want to see something different. And for me, if I'm going to put this much effort into something, it's got to be something I want to see for sure. And I think today, I mean, I was inspired by Greg Araki and Bruce LaBruce and John Waters. These are the filmmakers that got me excited to make movies. And those filmmakers, if they started today, they'd be canceled probably, or wouldn't even be supported at all. And I'm trying to bring that back a little bit with Cutaways. That was part of the inspiration too, is I want to kind of reignite that section of queer cinema that's a little bit dangerous, a little bit edgy, and you're not sure what you're going to get yourself into, and make the audience feel uncomfortable in an interesting way, in a good way, not in an oppressing way. And that's kind of the two main inspirations, I would say, with Cutaways.
And you really hit it out of the park as I'm concerned. I mean, we talked about the Greg Araki, and as I said, he's in Sundance now, and he has a film starring Olivia Wilde, who's also a director in a film there, who's got picked up already. So she's a hot property at the moment. And still, Araki doesn't have the buzz he had, like you said, in his heyday, when he was just really this great avant-garde filmmaker, and he still is. But you hope to see that, and it is such a different landscape these days. When you go to things, even Sundance, the vibe is so different there right now, with it moving from Park City into Boulder, and it's just a whole different vibe. So I love that you keep the grittiness here. I mean, let everyone know without giving too much away. I mean, this is about, as I said in the opening, it's a filmmaker whose career kind of got blown up on him. And so he's directing a movie you probably wouldn't see him in. But talk about what the overall plot is and what you're hoping people get from the movie.
Well, the overall plot is Evan Quick is a former Sundance indie wonderkin who was on his way to having a really big career, who then does get canceled on social media and finds himself blacklisted essentially, but yet he's a passionate filmmaker. This is what he does. He doesn't know anything else. And he's now been reduced, so to speak, or forced to direct, a really, kind of an underground OnlyFans online sex video. And he's got a real, misfit bag of toys around him, with a disgraced former child star who's kind of aged out. All the characters have an agenda in this film, and they're not exactly sharing that agenda with each other, but it becomes clear throughout the movie that all of them do have a very specific goal that they want to try and achieve, and how they have to go about doing that in the face of things that go wrong. And this is told basically in real time, and about a day in the life of one of these film shoots, and how these characters got there and how they have to deal with conflicting agendas like I said, in the face of things going wrong for them.
So well played. And like I said, kind of an unscrupulous producer, which you talk about in different things. And does that dynamic kind of allow you to say something about creative compromise? I mean, Silas's character is so committed to his role, which I love. I mean, he's not going to compromise at all. And now you have this producer that kind of just wants to get it done no matter what he has to do to compromise. But he's still holding to his guns even after a scandal. I mean, that's got to talk a lot about the creative compromise that a lot of people are forced, it feels like, in these day and age of filmmaking.
Sometimes, absolutely. I mean, with Evan and Sammy, who's played by James Duvall, who's kind of the money guy, you could say, they're both fighting for power dynamics there. I mean, Sammy is the guy providing the money. He's also providing a place for Evan to sleep. He's lost his house, and Evan has lost pretty much everything. And the one thing he's trying to keep holding on to is his creative control. That's all he's got left. And so when Sammy tries to intrude on that here and there, Evan bristles pretty quickly, because that's a direct threat. I mean, Evan's filmmaking career is hanging by a literal thread here, and he knows it. And I think the Sammy character knows it too, and he uses that against him in many ways. And so that's just one of the dynamics at play here, because I've always been interested. That's why The Boys in the Band, the 1970 film, is one of my all-time favorite movies, absolutely, and a film that
Mhm.
inspires me, because you've got these characters that are compelling, they're all interesting, and they're forced to have to deal with their crap, and they can't escape. And that's, part of the dynamic here. These characters have a job to do, they have to do it, all while dealing with all these other issues that are intruding upon the job at hand, and they can't just drop it and run away, really.
Did you have an initial approach in your mind whether you wanted to kind of film it as a cautionary tale or a satire or a drama? Because it kind of has a little bit of each in different parts of it, which I thought was a great combination of the three. But did you have a vision going in of what type of film you wanted it to be?
I did. I certainly had a type of tone that I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be absurd, a little bit over the top, a little bit. For me, this has more humor in it than anything I've done. There's more humor going on here, very much in the style of what Greg Araki has done. It's humor. It's sometimes absurd humor, sometimes kind of grim humor, but there's also an edge to it where it's not fluff. It's thoughtful, because all of these characters I find very interesting. Would I want to date any of them? Probably not, but I'd certainly want to hang out with them. They're certainly interesting people to me, and I think an audience will find them all very interesting. And that's another thing that I don't see in a lot of LGBTQ cinema. Every character has to be someone that someone will date. And again, that's fine to a point, but when all of the materials like that, I get bored. And I want to bring back some characters that aren't, you know, perfect people, or people that you just want to date. I've seen enough of that, and that's what this is about.
What kind of conversations did you have with Silas, or what were you looking for as you did this lead from your cast of characters you used? Because so much of the film really rests on the audience staying emotionally connected to Evan throughout the film. I mean, I think that's what the through line is. Did you have any specific direction for Silas or anything you were looking for when you chose him as the lead?
Well, luckily, not just Silence, but I would say all of my actors, fortunately, they don't need a lot of direction. They know what they're doing. With Silas in particular, as you asked, the most important thing that I told all the cast members and what they understood is that these characters are choosing to be there. There are no victims in this movie. So none of these characters are victims. None of them are meant to be felt sorry for. And for Evan, I think the important thing that Silas asked, what we talked about, was that even though Evan has alcohol problems, he's got emotional issues for sure, he's bitter, but the passion for filmmaking is there. And that is the one thing that gets him out of bed, is that. And so that's the main driving force of almost every scene, is that is all he has left right now, and he's going to hold on to that as hard as he can and not give up. And that's why the whole movie is kind of. I shot the movie in LA, which I loved doing, by the way. It was great to shoot in LA. First time I did a SAG film. This is SAG. The first time I did that, another way that I kind of wanted to up my game. And also that everyone I've ever met in LA, I've never met a lazy person in this industry in LA, ever. They all work hard. They all are professional. They all bring their A game, even if no matter what the budget is, as long as it's a professional job, they are they're on it. And I love that about LA. I really do. And so this is kind of the same thing. These are professionals. I'm not judging them at all. I'm not judging the porn industry at all. This isn't a knock on that whatsoever. It is about, these people work hard and they deserve respect for what they're doing. You know?
And I mean, scandal culture and cancel culture is looming so large right now in the entertainment industry as a whole. I mean, how were Was there any trepidation of going to that as part of the thematic element to it, or did that really, I think that really helps sell the movie. That's what it's all about a bit, but it's really just brought to attention how it all came about in a very simplified and natural way. I thought that was done very well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's also not, yeah, I'm not making a big cancel culture statement necessarily. It's a vessel for the character to it's part of the motivation and the plot of how he ended up here. And it does happen. Things do happen. And the thing that I leave very ambiguous in the movie on purpose is we only really hear Evan's side of it. And to hear Evan's side, you might think, man, this guy got a really raw deal. And I think personally, I think he did get a raw deal. I think he did. That character, I think he does. But at the same time, even though what he's accused of might not have actually been true, and it might have been used for opportunistic purposes by an angry wannabe actor, at the same time, I'll bet Evan wasn't the nicest guy in the world. And it made it kind of easier to cancel him, I think. I think he had to be knocked down a peg. I think Evan, as he was rising in the ranks, started to, maybe step on people and not be very accommodating. And now he's been really knocked down. I think people will take the chance to knock someone down hard if they have not been very respectful to the people on the way up.
And you've done such amazing work in your neck of the woods. And like you said, now you're going into LA, you have the SAG of it all. What was the biggest creative risk you felt you took during the film?
The biggest creative risk I took, I think, is just the fact that this script, I mean, there were some actors before I did the open casting call for the Trace Wicks part that I approached, people I had seen in work that I really, thought they might fit. I sent them the script. These were gay actors. They knew this was a SAG production. They knew it was paid, all of that. And they said, I won't even audition for this. And I was shocked. I thought, "Whoa!" And they said, "Oh yeah, no, this is way too dangerous." I had two film festivals that told me through spies that I had in there that said, "Oh no, we can't. We like the film, but we can't possibly program this in the current political environment." And these are gay film festivals.
Wow.
And I wanted to pull my hair out. I went, "What? I mean, this is the whole point of a LGBTQ film festival, And even they were afraid of it. But James Duval told me a really, really good point. When the first time I met him for breakfast, he he said, Mark, I love this script and I know exactly what you're doing here. I think it's hilarious. I think it's good. He said, I'll bet you had actors that wouldn't touch this. I said, you're exactly right. Yes, there were actors that wouldn't even audition for it. He said, yeah, Greg had the same problem back in the, he said, there were famous people that auditioned or he was interested in for, say, the Doom generation, who now regret that they were just afraid. They didn't get it. And James said, don't worry, Mark. He said, this script will attract the exact right actors who do get this. And he proved to be absolutely prescient. Because everybody in this film got it. Jason Caceres got it, Fernando got it, Diogo got it, and Simon's got it. And that's why it works, because they know what is going on here. And so it worked out perfectly.
Very well said. And without giving too much away, which we haven't so far, what emotional journey are you trying to get the audiences to experience as they go through from the beginning, middle to the final frame there?
Well, I mean, my previous work. My movies aren't necessarily message movies. I'm not telling people what to think or what to feel or what they're supposed to think or feel. But my main goal is always that they just have to see how it resolves after 90 minutes. I mean, when it drops on February 3rd, because very few people have seen this. It play at the SF Queer Film Festival as their centerpiece film. I was really grateful that they got it and gave it a nice showpiece, which was wonderful. But I think what I hope people maybe get is that artists are very passionate about their work and that it matters to them and that you got to keep going no matter what, I think, to not quit and to stick with it, I believe. And maybe also that, the people who are doing this kind of work, adult film work or sex work, they're people and they deserve dignity as well. They're human beings. They're not just caricatures, and that was another important part of this film. Is I didn't want them to be caricatures or stereotypes, and
Right.
I feel we achieved that absolutely, just in the casting.
Well, and like you said, the film is very much about the power dynamics in filmmaking, and it's got to feel almost a little meta to kind of see how life imitates art, imitates life again as it goes through. Did anything really jump out to you while you were filming?
Anything jump out to me while I was filming? I think the thing that jumped out to me the most was how grateful I was that my cast not only believed in the film, but brought so many they improved my script so much. I mean, they know, especially the three that I worked with before, but I told this to Jason and James too, that I'm not married to every line in the film. I mean, they can, if they've got a better idea, do it. And they almost always have a better idea than what I wrote on the page. And that was something that I just kept being so grateful for, was how these actors just kept improving what I wrote to the final product. Same thing with I got to give a shout out to Jessica Gallant, my DP too, because she I couldn't have had a more appropriate director of photography for this. She understood this work. She was a Greg Araki fan. She was a James Duval fan. She had worked with Jason Caceres on two projects, and she and I really aligned on what we were going for. She got it right away and really does a lot with a tight shooting schedule and the way she does these rack focuses. And she brings a lot of visual stuff to this that I never could have thought of. And so she made sure it was cinematic and made great use of that location. It's a wonderful location too. I loved shooting in that location. That really helped as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give my hats off as well. Like you said, what I loved so much about exteriors in some of your previous work was the use of that lighting and the mood and everything. And this is full tilt bright the entire time. So you really have to find those corners and those angles to really make everything come together. And I think it was shot beautifully. So hats off for sure.
She's fantastic, Jessica Gallant. I hope I can work with her again. She really did a magnificent job. The whole crew, she brought the whole crew on. She gathered the crew together and she brought a wonderful crew. We had a lot of fun shooting this movie. I mean, independent films are always work and they're never simple, but we all had a great time, and I it was a great experience. It really was.
Right. Well, like I said in the introduction too, you're really good at exploring the kind of messy and complicated corners of independent film. I like that. The ambition, the identity, it's then been there in all your work. How do you see this as a progression of your other work, and where do you see you wanting to go from here in the next step?
Well, as far as the progression, I think the biggest thing were, because maybe if you remember in our previous interviews, me and my business partner, Mark Ballonis, we always have a goal for each film. We always kind of, with this film, we want to achieve this, and we've always achieved it. And with this one, it was about really doing it SAG and doing it in LA. We wanted, and we met those goals. We had a great experience working with SAG. Any independent filmmakers, they were fine. They worked well. Sometimes independent filmmakers will try and scare you with SAG, but we had a great experience with that. We had a great
Nice.
experience working with the actors. I guess one thing that was a progression with this was, again, bringing a little more humor. It's a different vibe than my other work. And I think we're very proud of the film. I mean, we want to keep real queer cinema alive. And that's also what the progression was here. I wanted to bring back the edge a little bit
Yeah.
and not keep it unpredictable. People who take the chance to watch this, they're going to see something different in this sphere than you definitely see. There's nothing like this out there. And I think from here, man, the next progression is always just to make the next film. I mean, I've got scripts lying around. I've got a web series lying around. I've got even a horror film ready to go. And there's also a really interesting potential web series that Fernando is writing, which I've seen the first couple episodes of that, and it's really fun. if that comes to be. That's really, really fun. So the next progression is just the next thing, making the next thing.
Is that the
Because
web series you let me read a couple years back?
oh boy, that's a different one. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a very early draft that I sent you.
Okay.
It's yeah, that has gone through a couple other drafts. That's Trophy Boys. Yeah, that
Nice.
one I would love to make Trophy Boys. That needs a certain type of budget though to pull that one off
It
properly.
does, but I love that writing on that. It was so good.
It's fun. It's great. That's another one that totally scared a couple of, well, we'll just say a couple of, gay services production companies that said, "Oh, no, this is too scary." And it's like, what happened to you people? It's not that scary. I mean, come
Andrew
on.
Christian's retired now. Tell him to sponsor it. Tell with him.
No kidding. I mean,
He
man.
has no brand to cover anymore.
Yeah, they're just afraid. They just, yeah, they want everything to be, Christmas with the gays, which again is
Exactly.
fine. That's fine, but not everything. Like I said, the LGBTQ community is mature enough to handle other stuff. They can take it, I guarantee it.
True that, my friend. I love that. All right, last question before we go into rapid fire, Mark.
Mhm.
I mean, you just kind of talked of around the edges of it, but what do you really hope the audiences are taking from this film? What conversations do you hope they're having on the drive home?
I think the thing that would really, warm the cockles of my heart is if on the way home they said, wow, it's good to see something different. I'm glad someone's making something different in this genre. And whew, I wouldn't have thought it would end up that way. And it was nice to see something that wasn't predictable and characters that I haven't seen before on screen. That would
Well
be the
said.
best. That would be the best. And also, we got to search out his other work. That would be wonderful too.
I like that. Nice. Well, guys, the film is Cutaways. You got to check this thing out. I absolutely loved it. But let's do a couple quick rapid fire questions before you go, Mark. Is that okay?
I'm ready. Hit me.
I think I asked this first one last time. I want to ask it again because I always love getting a director's point of view. So, who do you think is your favorite director of all time, and what film made you want to be a director?
Well, my favorite director, if I had to say one, it would probably be Sidney Lumet because he was a director that made excellent quality films. He had a great reputation in the industry. He was on time. He was professional. He was never over budget. Actors loved working with him. And the movies were never about him. They were always about the story and about the performers. And I never want my movies to be me. I want people to be centered on the film, not me. So I'll say Sidney Lumet.
I like that. And I mean, if you had
Oh,
to
I'm
go,
sorry. One thing, a movie that wanted me to be a director.
oh yeah,
Let's go back to Greg Araki. The one that really pushed me hard, I would say, would be The Living End, because that was
Mhm.
the first film I saw that was made with, stone knives and bearskins. I saw it at the Castro Theater and it electrified me. It's a very unusual film done beautifully with limited resources.
Good choice. I like that. All right, question number two, Mark. If you were to go big budget on your next film, what kind of genre do you think you'd like to do? Is there a specific story genre you'd like to do in no holds barred big budget film?
No holds barred, big budget would be Trophy Boys, probably, where that would be, an HBO series, uh, with all the trappings of that, with a big cast, big locations, 10 episodes, and watching that mystery onion peel and suspense build. I would love to spend a ton of money on Trophy Boys. That would be fun. I think that would be really exciting. If you're talking about a feature film, I would love to do. I do have one script that's kind of a political thriller. I would love to do something like that to kind of give a kind of a timestamp with the politics that we're living in today without being heavy handed or, over something like along the lines of an All the President's Men. That would be a feature I would love to do.
Those are one of my favorite genres, political thrillers. I
Love them.
love.
Yep.
Nice. All right, question number 3. Your productions company is called Diamond in the Rough Productions. And like I said, you have such an amazing eye for actors. Without naming your own, who do you think right now are some diamonds in the rough actors that should get some more attention right now?
Ooh, wow. Who would I like to see get more attention? Boy, that's a really good question. I'm kind of taken off guard by that. I would say, I think could be a really interesting actor, and he's having a big moment right now, but I just think there's really more there, and that's the guy from Heated Rivalry, Robbie GK, the one who plays Kit.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, like I said, he's fine in Heated Rivalry, but I just think there's a really interesting actor under that barista that can do more. And he intrigues me. He would be someone I would love to write a part for and see what he can really, really do. That would be one. I think also, well, I'm really curious to see Charlie XCX in I Want Your Sex.
Right.
I want to see how that plays out. I'm very excited, obviously, to see that movie. I will be first in line when it hits my theater. So that's interesting to me. One of my favorite actresses, actually, who has done very well, but I would love to work with would be Claire Danes, actually. I've
Oh,
always loved Claire Danes, especially if you watch her in Shot Girl, which is a fantastic, underrated movie. Talk about a diamond in the rough. I mean, Shot Girl is a wonderful, wonderful film, and I think she's particularly good in that. I would love to work with Claire Danes someday. That would be one of my favorite female actresses.
love her. She did an extended interview on MSNBC. Who's the girl I like there? One of the anchors there that does the 4 o'clock news show. But I did a great extended interview a couple weeks back, and just an amazing career. And I do love her a lot.
Yeah, very much.
We talk about you being the chief cook and bottle washer. I mean, you write it, you direct it, you produce it, you do everything. So I got to know, when you're editing, being the foodie and chubby guy that I am, what's your go-to snack in between all these projects while you're editing and just planning these things around the house?
When I'm editing, let's see. One thing I really actually enjoy, I've really come to enjoy this. I love making, especially in the winter, I love making Rouse brand chicken noodle soup. I love Rouse brand chicken noodle soup with the original goldfish crackers, not the cheddar one, the original ones. I put some of those in there, and that's a very, very satisfying thing that when I'm taking a break, or if I'm going to watch if I need something to render or whatever, I will have a nice bowl of Rouse chicken noodle soup with crackers, and I will eat that. That I've come to really like. Maybe if I'm feeling particularly daring, a little bit of Tabasco sauce in there too. Very
Nice. I
good
like
stuff.
that. I am a soup person here in Northeast Ohio in the winter. That's for dang sure. That sounds pretty tasty. All right, question number 5, Mark. I love Cutaways, a little tagline there. How far does a director have to go to get his shot? How far would you go to get your shot?
Well, I don't think I would do what Evan does necessarily. I don't think I'd do that. But I mean, some people would say, I've gone pretty darn far to get my films made. I mean, I don't, pay myself anything really. I spend hours and hours and hours doing this. Uh, I'm in an industry that right now no one knows what the heck is going on with it. Distribution is a total tangle of a mess. Uh, so I've gone pretty far already. I save up my own money a lot of times and then spend it. I'm hardly a wealthy guy, not at all. So, but as far as in the way that I think you're meaning it, how far would I go? I think the farthest I would go is that I'm never going to stop. Even, as long as I can wheel myself to a set and hold a camera or something if I have to, I'll probably expire on a movie set or in front of an editing suite, no matter what, because I won't stop doing it. I mean, unless I'm totally out of commission, I really won't stop. I'll be like John Huston when he was directing The Dead. I'll have an oxygen lung with me, I'll be pointing and I'll keep going.
You better not stop, because I enjoy having you on as a guest and watching all of your films, my friend. Mark Schwab, it's always a pleasure to have you. The film is called Cutaways. Remind everyone when it's being released, where they can find it, and where they can follow your production company on Instagram.
Well, they can find the film Cutaways is going to drop on Amazon Prime as well as Vimeo on Demand. And I think Fandango at Home as well on February 3rd. That's when it's definitely going to be on Amazon February 3rd and Vimeo on Demand. I think Fandango also, but definitely those first two. They can find all of Diamond in the Rough Films stuff at DITR Films. That's our Instagram as well as Facebook and stuff like that. But I'm very accessible. Filmmakers can reach out to me. They can email me. I will always, I don't always, maybe I won't always have answers for them, but I will have responses for them for sure. And also at ditrfilms.com, they can find links to Shadows in Mind and Brotherly Lies and Exteriors as well. Those are on lots of streaming services that you can find. So that is how they can, and I will always make sure to find time to be on your show, Scott. Always.
Well, I love that. And like we talked about off air, I'm going to try to get my happy butt back to California. So we will have some coffee dates at least once a month.
I love it.
So.
You're getting closer. Yes, you're closer to me now. Good. It'll be simpler.
Getting over there. We'll have a couple little cocktails in Santa Cruz and coffee somewhere near Palm Springs. We'll have some fun.
And that'll be off the record for sure, what we talk about there.
Of course, yes, of course. I'll keep my critic's hat and my entertainment reporter's hat on the ground there.
Absolutely.
Mark Schwab, I love you. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us today. Go get the film Cutaways on February 3rd. We appreciate y'all. Have a great day, everyone. Stay in line for me, Mark. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Left of Str8 Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website for contests and other news and information. See you next week.